So can we get an extra big round of applause for Allie, our first spotlight speaker? Thank you, Allie. No, one thing that's important to know about Allie as our first spotlight speaker is that one of the tenets of Girls Club is to be the spotlight, in the spotlight. And so our next speaker is also one of our spotlight speakers. So I definitely want to hear an extra big round of applause for her. Because here's the thing, to find our voice, we have to believe in ourselves, our flaws and our faults and everything of it, because that's what makes us real, human beings. Authentic, true to ourselves, and it's something that our next spotlight speaker, who you know well, completely embraces. You know her as the program director for Girls Club, but with over 19 years of leadership experience, she's coached and developed individuals in many different roles, domestically and abroad, a little jealous of that. Her passion for identifying potential, cultivating strengths, providing honest and constructive feedback, and developing future leaders is what drives her to be her best. Never in a million years did she think that she would be able to take her experience to focus on women in leadership, and is living her dream. So please welcome, with a big, huge, extra big hand for our next spotlight speaker, the one who actually helped to make this whole event possible, the one, the only, Angela Salazar.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I literally just was excited to come up here and have this view for just a moment. So excuse me for looking out at all of you. This has been a lot in the making, and I'm just so excited to have you here and to feel this energy in this room. That's what it's all about. And today I'm going to tell my story, and I'm scared, I'll be honest. I get pretty personal about it. And I just want to thank you all in advance for being a safe space for myself and for all of our speakers here today. It really means a lot. When Lauren was up here speaking before, and anytime you've ever heard her talk, she mentioned the Girls Club values. And most of you have probably heard them. We usually go over them in onboarding and at different events. But some of you may have not, and it doesn't matter how many times you hear them. You always get goosebumps, and it is special. And this is my favorite part. This is the last line. We celebrate risk takers, trailblazers, working moms, and every woman in the world who listens to that little voice in her head that says more. Today, I am here listening to my little voice and saying more. Back in March, I had a conversation with my husband as we were already starting to plan Rise Up, and he said, "You need to speak at that event." I was not so sure. It instantly spun up all of my limiting beliefs and my doubts and my fears and my imposter syndrome. What if I can't remember? Whoa. What if I fall on the stage? That didn't even cross my mind, so at least we're past that. What if I forget what I want to say? What if I get emotional? What if somehow I expose myself to this community that looks at me as a leader and now they're like, well, she's not that big of a deal, okay? So there were a lot of scary things about that, and it was kind of a roller coaster. So I had to kind of look and say, what is this? It sort of triggered me, like, why is this a thing for me? Why am I so afraid to disappoint? Why do I feel like I always have to be the rock for everyone? Secret, I actually wrote that on my rock today when Jamie did her exercise. Like, I feel like I have to be everything to everybody. And I started to think about, where did that come from? This is Angela. And when you're named Angela, being called an angel often comes with the territory. So I was told very early on that I was a little angel. You pair that with the fact that my two older siblings were pretty much nightmares in their teenage years at that time. And my younger brother was terrorizing me all the time. So the message was really clear. You are so easy to love because you don't cause problems. And it started there. I really feel like it did. I didn't want to burst this bubble, so I really kept up the appearance of perfect, even though I was not a perfect teenager. And when I was 17, that bubble shattered. I was pregnant. To tell you how big of a bubble this was, my mom would call friends and family and say, "I'm going to be a grandmother." And they would say, "Jenny?" My sister, who was 10 years older. "No." "Tim?" My brother, 10 years older. They would then skip me and go to my 15-year-old brother, not even considering that it was a possibility for me. This was the disappointment that I had feared my whole life. I felt exposed. I felt like I was not the person that they thought, and it was so difficult. So I had to kind of reinvent myself to my family and to my friends and have them understand, okay, well, if she's not perfect, I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be independent. I am going to be a fantastic mother. So when I was 17, or a week after I turned 18, I moved out of my family's home, and my friends were starting college. 2 months later, I was a mother. So cute, right? And then 3 months later, I became a single mother. It was a challenge. I had to work really hard. I got a job. I went to school. I was being a mom. I was taking care of myself. I was paying my bills. But then I had to let school go. It was just too hard. It was just too much for me. And to be honest, I was going to school for early elementary education, and we don't pay teachers in Arizona, so I figured I had to do something else anyways. I had to have some housing assistance at one point to be able to stay independent. I then moved to work at Applebee's, where I made $2.13 an hour plus tips, and I sucked at that job, so the tips were not great. I decided to move into retail, and I did that for a little bit. And then I moved into sales, where I spent the next 8 years growing my career and making the most of opportunities, getting promoted, and feeling really good about that. I always felt confident at work. That was really where I was thriving. And after that, when I felt that I was successful, my mother was diagnosed with ALS. And when I was 29 years old, she passed away. Much like Jamie, she was my whole world and my guiding compass. I felt totally broken and lost, and my mental health started to suffer. I was experiencing anxiety like I had never experienced before. I was depressed. I tried talking to my doctor. I tried medications with no success, only to give up and try again maybe a year or so later to see if there was something else that could help me. It was a really dark time and a really hard time for me to get out of. I was suffering mostly in silence. And then a beautiful distraction. My now husband, but then 16-year-old Angela's first love, the father of my son, the co-parent of 15 years, we found our way back to each other, and we got married. I know, good story. And as the wedding died down and things were sort of settling back into being normal, the depression started creeping back in. And I really didn't know what I was going to do. The scary part. In 2017, I was diagnosed with bipolar II disorder. This really gave me a better understanding of myself. I felt seen and understood by this amazing psychiatrist that really helped me understand what that meant. Because like probably many of you that are not as familiar with this form of mental illness, we see on TV when somebody's acting crazy, when somebody is being, totally wild, and somebody might say, oh, that person's probably bipolar or something. And I now have this new label that I don't want. I don't want to be crazy. And that was a really tough thing for me to get through. I started finding the right medication, and I started feeling more balanced, and I started feeling better than I ever had. So I felt as though I had survived that, and I was starting to thrive. But my life was about to take another big shift and a big change. My son, now 17, was graduating high school. Who was I if I was not a mother? I literally had been a mother since I was 18 years old, my entire adult life. I had no clue what that meant for me. I was also very unhappy at the company that I had been with for 13 years. I felt that I had outgrown it. I really wanted more joy. I wanted more meaning to what I was doing. And my risk-averse husband was not a huge fan of that, but I had to do it. And so I chose the unknown. And I left my company without another position. Enter Lauren Bailey in Girls Club. I had no idea this was in my future. I had thought about helping women in the future with leadership, but I thought it was going to take me years to build something, to be able to get there. And so I actually called Lauren and said, hey, can I get some advice from you? You're an amazing leader. You have this beautiful training company. And she was like, well, I might have something that you might be interested. And I instantly was. It seemed completely amazing, and it has been. I am so honored to work with the proteges and the mentors and our sponsors and supporters and our allies. You guys are so amazing, and you lift me up all of the time. So let's fast forward to April. Alicia Baruti, amazing Alicia Baruti, right? She was our first confidence session of Generation 4, and she inspired me. She made me cry, she made me laugh, she made me believe in myself. So much so that during her talk, I slacked LB and I said, I want to speak at RiseUp. Now, I knew there was no going back, and that wasn't the end of the roller coaster of can I do it, can I not do it. There were days when I didn't think I could. And true story, she doesn't even know this, but a week ago, I was sitting on my couch trying to convince myself to call her and tell her I couldn't do it. That's how overwhelmed I felt. I mean, the planning was happening, we were getting close, there was so much going on, and I just wasn't sure that I could do it. But that's not me. I couldn't do that to myself more than anything else. Not that I didn't want to disappoint you, I didn't want to disappoint Lauren, but I knew that I would be devastated if I didn't do it. And I wanted to run and hide, but I didn't. That's not who I am. And it's not who we are. We are conditioned to keep going. We have to. You have no choice. You have to take care of your family. You have to go to work and pay your bills. You have to, be something for other people in your life, because that's the role that we as women take on. I used to be really insecure about being a teenage mom, and now I wear that like a badge of honor because I did it well. I used to be really scared that I wouldn't have the opportunities to be successful because I didn't have a degree. So I went and I made opportunities for myself. I thought I couldn't survive the loss of my mother, and now I channel that grief to help others through their grief. I thought that being bipolar and being an emotional person made me weak. And now I realize that it takes a strong person to feel all the feels, and I'm not weak. This doesn't even touch on insecurities around weight, around relationship heartbreaks, or Me Too moments. There's been many challenges, but I'm here, and it wasn't an easy road. We take on so much as women, but what we don't do is stop to pause, to reflect on what we've done, and to give ourselves some freaking credit for all of the work that we have put together. we can list our failures. That list would be easy to write, and it could be long. But we need to take that breath and reflect on all we've overcome. Our failures, we fall short. We are conditioned to be hard on ourselves. And we need to stop that. Because you know what? We actually do know, and we actually do understand that we're pretty awesome. When we pause to think about it, we know it. It's not actually a secret. But sometimes you have to stop and remind yourself. Deep down, we know that we're amazing. And not only have we survived, but we have thrived. This room, I really appreciate you guys being here and being so attentive. I want you to understand how amazing I think all of you are. I am fortunate to get to know so many of you personally throughout the programs, some of you more than others, and believe me, please connect with me. Please don't fall out of touch. We want you to stay with us. But what I really want to make sure that you know is I want you to know that you deserve the choices. You deserve the opportunities. You deserve the promotions. You deserve the pay. You deserve equality. Because you are awesome. I'm going to share a quote with you. This one really resonates with me, and I love it. It's by author Nikki Rowe. Like a wildflower, she spent her days allowing herself to grow. Not many knew of her struggles, but eventually, all knew of her light. Thank you so much for lifting me up with your light today. I really appreciate it. So proud of you. I gotta go cry. You did it.
Wow.